Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a GeForce RTX 4070 Ti Super in GTA 5 Enhanced. This one is the MSI Ventus 3X version of the card. I am running it with the latest Nvidia drivers, and I am manually overclocking it a little bit because the Ventus version is the slowest of the bunch, and you can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Up's GPU-Z as usual. Finally, over on the left, I am pairing it with a Ryzen 7 9800X 3D and 32GB of RAM, and I am also using the Nvidia app over here to change the DLSS model to use the latest model on the super resolution, so that is DLSS 4, which will look quite a bit better when using DLAA and DLSS quality as well in this title than the native DLSS 3 version of the game, while being around 8% more intensive. But with a 4070 Ti Super, that shouldn't really be a problem. I would definitely take that hit for much cleaner visuals. Let's go over the settings now. I am starting at the 4K resolution right here, utilizing maximum settings, including ray tracing set to the maximum. We're also using DLSS set to DLAA, so it's still 100% resolution scale, just applying the anti-aliasing from DLSS, and these are the settings. Pretty much everything is maxed out aside from motion blur here. And guys, the 4070 Ti Super can definitely run this game completely maxed out over here. As you can see, it's getting us 100 frames per second in the roads. Obviously, Jack's Hill is where it's gonna get really intensive, but we shall find out what kind of FPS we get there really soon. But yeah, this is basically going to be a pretty flawless experience. Not super high refresh rate, but it doesn't really need to be. It's GTA 5. Even in online, you don't really need to be competitive, I would say. It's still a huge drop in performance compared to the legacy version, of course, but I mean, we do have ray tracing now, and the game looks a little bit prettier at the same time. I'd still like to have seen more FPS, of course, from a game from 2013/15 on PC, but you know, this is totally acceptable performance for this system, in my opinion. Oh my god, especially with DLSS 4. You know, my major issue with the previous version of DLSS, DLSS 3 in this game, was that it looked quite a bit worse even with DLAA than MSAA did in the legacy version, and they also removed MSAA support from this version of the game, the enhanced edition. So I was a bit bummed out that we didn't have a very good anti-aliasing option anymore, but this, guys, no, this takes the cake, actually. This is very sharp right now. It's really pretty, it's super detailed. Yeah, DLAA with DLSS 4 override in this game is just something else, my friend. You should definitely utilize it if you have the power to run it, of course. Also, since this is the Enhanced Edition, we don't see as much of a FPS drop whenever coming into Jack's Hill. Hello, Jack, how's it going, buddy? Or is it Jacqueline? I think it's Jacqueline, actually. Go away, Jacqueline. I wanted to see Jack. No, we love Jacqueline as well, yes. Inside of Bob's bushes is where it usually drops the most, and this is no exception in the Enhanced Edition with these settings. Bob is not here. What the heck? But yeah, it drops into the mid-70s, which is, again, totally acceptable. It would drop even more if we had, for example, 1440p 8 times MSAA with the legacy version, you know, and yeah, DLAA already looks really pretty, as I said. So it's good to see that at least they optimized the grass here in the new Enhanced Edition to run a little bit better. Also, this weather isn't really the most intensive thing or the prettiest one to showcase this Enhanced Edition, so I'm just gonna make it rain here. Alright, extra sunny weather. Oh, that looks way nicer, actually, in terms of the color of the sky. It's bluer now. I like it, but it's still not showing the true visual enhancement from this. Also, with this thundery weather, which is going on right now, you can see that with every lightning strike, the FPS dropped by like 10 or something like that. It's pretty crazy. It's something to do, not with the ray tracing, actually, because the game, even without ray tracing, has this issue. And this is the one, my friends. This is the weather that I do like. It's actually getting slightly higher FPS than extra sunny weather, interestingly, probably because of the shadows or something. I don't know. But one thing that I would love to have seen, guys, is some better reflections, because right now the reflections are accurate, they're ray traced and everything, you know. The only thing that isn't really going into the reflections is the lights from the cars for some reason. Those don't show up in the reflections. It's really weird, but everything else is well reflected. But the thing is, it's really low quality. Look at that. I mean, yes, it's raining, so the water is moving and stuff like that, but even when it's not raining and you take a look at those reflections, it's really low quality. You can notice that it's running at a lower resolution than native in terms of the reflections, of course, and this is where the ray reconstruction feature would come in handy and save the day, like it did, for example, in Cyberpunk 2077. When they introduced that, it completely changed the look of the reflections when using ray tracing. So yeah, right now, if you enable ray tracing and set it to the maximum, you're stuck with not very high quality reflections. Let's go with this car, actually. And yeah, I think this game desperately needs ray reconstruction, especially at 1440p resolution. At higher resolutions, like 4K, for example, which we will test, of course, in this video, it's not gonna matter as much, because the internal resolution of the ray tracing is already really high, and it looks way better than this, but when using 1440p or when using DLSS at 4K as well, the internal resolution of the ray trace reflections is just a little bit too low for my taste, unfortunately. I'm gonna stop it there, guys, for 1440p resolution. It's actually dropping quite a bit more over here. It's a pretty intensive area with the rain and a lot of vegetation as well. And since we're actually utilizing DLSS 4, I think quality DLSS at 1440p might look really close to the DLAA stuff, and indeed it does. This is one of those games where if you use DLSS quality, DLSS 4 there is, at 1440p it will look really good. I can still tell a little bit of a difference between this and native resolution stuff. Oh my gosh, this is way too slippery right now. Yes, no, I want to go in that direction, come on. Oh boy. But yeah, guys, come on. Most of the picture right now is still really sharp, even though this is upscaling from 960p resolution. That's quality DLSS at 1440p res. Yeah, it looks really good, alright, for what it is. But once again, I can still tell a little bit of pixelation, especially around the edges of the car, as well as some even lower quality reflections. So that is a little bit of an issue that needs fixing. Again, yeah, that's the major gripe that I have with this game right now, because they've fixed the performance issues apparently. However, if you do get near like 160 FPS plus, it will start stuttering still. It's just the game, how it runs, you know. It's not due to your hardware if you're seeing a lot of stuttering issues with high-end components like 5090s or 4090s. So yeah, if you have a high-end system and you're seeing stuttering issues, I recommend you to lock your FPS to around like 120, maybe 140, because then you will actually achieve a smooth frame time graph without any spikes whatsoever, just like we're seeing right now, because we're not reaching those super high FPS. But yeah, guys, if you want a high refresh rate experience at 1440p resolution, that is possible. As you can see, 130 FPS average feels quite a little bit snappier than the 80, 90, 100 FPS that we were seeing before. And GTA Online is a thing, I know, a lot of people play that, but that is more CPU intensive, not more GPU intensive, and that's why I'm sticking to GTA single player here, because we're testing a GPU. So if you don't bottleneck a card in GTA Online, you will achieve around the same FPS as you're seeing here in GTA single player. But yeah, that's about it. Let's stop it right there. 101 FPS, 1% lows. That's actually pretty good once again. And let's move on to another resolution now. So I'm gonna set it back to DLAA right here, and I am going to lower it to 1080p first. Alright, here we have it, 1920 by 1080 resolution, utilizing exactly the same settings here with DLAA, and we're getting very high FPS to the point where we might actually soon see some stuttering issues because of the FPS being a little bit too high here. You can start seeing a little bit of frame time spikes, very minor ones, but it's micro stuttering right now and causing our 1% lows to drop by a lot. So once again, to fix that, all you need to do is to lock your FPS or enable VSync, for example, at 120 Hz or 144 Hz or whatever. If you have a 240 Hz monitor, enable VSync half in the settings, which will lock it to 120 FPS. And also, right now at 1080p resolution, I can see a lot of issues with the picture right now, guys, especially on those reflections. Since it's raining a lot, they're really low quality, and that it's very noticeable because you got puddles everywhere, you know. Oh boy. Okay, I thought it was gonna explode. Oh boy. Okay, no, it's all right. It's all good. It's all right. It's all right. Let's go to Jack's Hill. The car is still going somehow. I still got my door and one of the mirrors, so everything is fine. Let's go! No, everything is definitely not fine. The car just can't go. Oh my goodness. Come on! Come on, let's do this! Also, FPS dropping here in the vegetation areas as usual. You know what? Let's turtle the car up. Ah, there we go. That's much better. Okay. Still sliding a lot, though. Jack, come over here, Jack! Hello, buddy! Oh boy, I'm so sorry! I love you, Jack! Oh my gosh! You know what? This is all Bob's fault. I think he's fine, though. He's still sleeping there. Yeah, he was very sleepy because he just doesn't get tired of running around and stuff. Well, he does. That's why he's sleeping. Never mind. But as I said, this is all Bob's fault. Bob is still alive, so we need to get that bastard once again. Also in Bob's bushes, we get down into the 90s at 1080p resolution. Not a problem once again. This is fully maxed out with ray tracing set to the maximum as well. You can use like customized settings or optimized settings for this game that will make the game look like 95% as good as what you're seeing here, yet it will run with way higher FPS. That will especially be handy at 4K resolution, not so much at 1440p and 1080p because you can just max it out completely and have the game run absolutely fine, even with what the heck? Even with DLSS 4, that was awesome. Also, I'm not going to utilize the DLSS quality at 1080p resolution. There's no need for that, of course, because the FPS were already way too high, and you'd need to lock the frames anyways. So here we have it, 3840 by 2160 now, DLAA and maximum settings including maximum ray tracing, and we're finally reaching the limits of the 4070 Ti Super GPU, my friends. Look at this, 50s. Damn! Obviously, the legacy version would run a lot faster than this. At 4K max settings, aside from MSAA, it would be absolutely no problem whatsoever. I have a video on that, by the way. I'll leave it down below in the description if you want to take a look and compare the graphics a little bit, although I didn't make it rain previously in the legacy version, but it still looks really good even with rain in the legacy. It's just that the reflections now are a little bit more accurate, basically. I'm not liking this anymore. I think if you used DLSS 3 instead of DLSS 4 with DLAA still, you'd get, again, around 8% higher performance, so much closer to the 60 FPS mark, probably at around like 59 frames per second instead of 55 that we're seeing right now. But it's still not going to change it completely, even if you don't utilize DLSS 4. So if you're wondering if that's the problem here, or if that's the cause of really low FPS, it's not. It's just because we got ray tracing going on, we got all of these effects, we got the 4K native resolution as well, and that's obviously super demanding. But there is a very easy fix for it, my friends, and that is utilizing DLSS, which, again, on DLSS 4 with the override, it works really well, and on quality as well. So this looks, to me, basically the same. Oh my, okay, all right. I'm driving really badly today. It's probably because it's very slippery and I'm not used to this car. But yeah, as you can see, it bumped things up in terms of FPS by quite a lot. It's not like Assassin's Creed Shadows, by the way, where you gain like 15% performance or 20% at maximum when you enable DLSS quality compared to native. This is giving us around a 30% improvement, I think. So that's really, really good, and it's what you can expect from DLSS in most games, actually, while looking basically the same. That's the most impressive thing. Even the reflections at native resolution weren't really all that impressive, to be honest. Like, they're much better than at 1440p resolution and 1080p resolutions, but they were still lacking quite a lot of clarity, in my opinion, especially on the car, you know. You can see noise there, so... but you could also see noise there with the LAA. So this is basically the same thing, guys. It's really, really similar, and it works great with DLSS 4. There is no need for you to change some settings around, lower it down to make it look at 95% as good as it did with the maxed out settings and get more performance. If you want to keep things maxed out, if you want to make the game look the prettiest that it can be, you can just use quality DLSS with DLSS 4 transformer model and it will look fantastic, basically. Hello, Jack! It's finally the real Jack, my friends. Look at him go. Oh, boy. I really hope that there's a Jack in GTA 6. I'm really looking forward to it. And, you know, I'm thinking of buying a PS5 and testing the game out on PS5 as well in a video or two, because we need to find Jack, you know. Anyway, oof, dropping into the 50s in Bob's bushes. Like, worst case scenario possible, it drops to 59, so that's not really an issue, is it? So yeah, really good performance here. 4K visuals, again, it still looks 4K, even though it is not 4K technically because it's upscaling from a lower resolution. But it's like I say in a lot of titles. Actually, let me go to the house again. But yeah, DLSS performance at 4K resolution in the vast majority of titles. And I mean the vast majority. There might be like 1 or 2 games that this is not the case. It looks better than native 1440p on a 1440p monitor. So, I mean, if you can do 4K and if your main games don't ask for super high frame rates, 4070 Ti Super can still do 4K just fine. It's not true 4K because it's not native, because, well, on native it does drop, of course, as we saw, but this DLSS 4, guys, even DLSS 3 was great, obviously, but DLSS 4 just changes things so much. This is so usable at 4K with quality DLSS and probably even performance DLSS. Let's check it out with performance DLSS. There we go. Performance. Balanced will be in the middle, of course. I usually skip balanced because, well, you can draw your own conclusions. Now, in terms of reflections, you can see on top of the car, they're really low quality. Oh my goodness. This is where DLSS ray reconstruction would fix everything about those low quality reflections, you know, so that's why this game desperately needs it so much. But yeah, outside of those reflections being pretty crappy right now, the lines on everything are really defined, and even like the detail on that brick wall over there across the street, it looks super great, even in motion. It's super detailed. It's just a little bit softer than quality DLSS was, yet in terms of detail and sharpness on the edges and stuff, where you'd usually see a ton of pixelation issues and softness as well, with other upscalers especially, like FSR 3 for example, here that doesn't happen. So yeah, that's pretty good, and if they end up adding ray reconstruction to it, it's going to look flawless because it will fix the little reflections issue. Hello Jack, how's it going, buddy? Now, can we finally kill Bob here? That's really important, because we haven't seen that bastard yet today. Where is Bob? There he is, finally, gosh. Goodbye, Bob! Hey, Finally, good stuff, my friends. 4070 Ti Super doesn't really have a problem with this, even with maxed out settings and ray tracing. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one very soon, and as always, love you all. Bye-bye.